Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. Now, today's program has a plethora of stories that are of national importance. Now, let's get on with the details. A discussion on the preliminary budget framework and development direction related to the submissions of proposals for the 2026 budget was held at the Presidential Secretariat between President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and officials of the Ministry of Finance. Accordingly, the President inquired from the Ministry of Finance officials about the current progress in preparing the upcoming budget. The officials informed the President that the circular inviting budget proposals has already been issued and that institutions have been given until the 31st of this month to submit their budget estimates within the allocated expenditure limits. During the discussion, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake emphasized the importance of prioritizing key sectors that can elevate the country beyond its current situation when planning the upcoming budget. Accordingly, he instructed officials to focus more on projects centered around areas such as digitalization, strengthening public transport, and integrating rural communities into the economic framework. The President further noted that merely allocating financial resources for projects is not sufficient. He emphasized the need to assess whether the intended benefits of those projects are truly reaching the people and highlighted the importance of strengthening the necessary mechanisms to ensure this outcome. Now, in a related note, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake emphasized the need for the Ministry of Sports and sports associations to collaborate on joint initiatives aimed at elevating Sri Lankan sports to the international stage. The President stressed that instead of isolated efforts such as merely distributing sports equipment, the focus must shift towards structured and impactful programs and support long-term sports development. The President made these remarks during a progress review meeting of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports at the Presidential Secretariat. The meeting reviewed the institutional progress of the Ministry of Sports and National Sports Services, Youth Services Council, and the National Youth Corps. The President was briefed on the current progress and projects being implemented by these institutions and the programs aimed at youth development across the country. During the discussion, the President noted that similar to developed countries, sports can bring not only social benefits but also significant economic returns. He closely examined the Ministry's sports development initiatives and called for a more strategic approach, and attention was also drawn to the Youth Club program of the National Youth Services Council. The President directed officials to focus on establishing modern and well-equipped vocational training centers that cater to school leavers and promote youth employment. Underscoring the importance of efficient and result-oriented implementation, the President stressed that all institutions under the ministry must work collectively to achieve both physical and financial targets by the end of 2025, ensuring the optimal use of allocated resources. Now, TikTok has expressed its willingness to support Sri Lanka's efforts to digitize its education sector, following a high-level discussion held between TikTok's South Asia Public Affairs and Government Relations Head Firdaus Mutakin and Secretary to the Prime Minister, Pradeep Saputantri. This meeting focused on exploring how TikTok, beyond its entertainment value, could be leveraged as a digital tool to expand economic opportunities and enhance educational engagement across the country. TikTok representatives emphasized the importance of integrating structured frameworks, research, and curriculum-based modifications to effectively deliver digital education. They highlighted the platform's potential to disseminate educational content and raise awareness on digital literacy. Saputantri welcomed the initiative, noting that such collaborations align with the ongoing reforms in the education sector. He further stressed the urgency of accelerating the digital transformation process to meet the evolving needs of Sri Lanka students and educators. Now, the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Training announced that the entire fabric requirement for school uniforms for this year has been successfully fulfilled through a donation from the government of China. The donated fabric, valued at 5,171 million rupees, will be used to produce school uniforms for students across the country. A formal certificate exchange ceremony was held between Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amagsurya and the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, marking the completion of the donation. In addition, the ministry has officially requested China to continue its support by providing school uniform fabric for the year 2026 as well. Now, Sri Lanka is witnessing a troubling frequency of accidental deaths, with 4 individuals reportedly dying every 3 hours due to various preventable causes. Now, this is according to Dr. Samita Sivitunga, a public health specialist from the Ministry of Health's Non-Communicable Diseases Unit. Dr. Siritunga highlighted drowning, poisoning, animal attacks and road traffic accidents as well as domestic mishaps as the leading contributors to these fatalities. Among them, road accidents account for approximately 25% to 27% of the total deaths. Deputy Inspector General of Police Indika Hapugoda revealed that in 2023, 2,341 people died in 2,320 fatal road accidents. The toll rose in 2024 with 2,521 deaths from 2,403 fatal crashes. In the first half of 2025 alone, 1,332 individuals have died in 1,256 fatal road accidents. Of particular concern is the role of public transport in these incidents. In the first 6 months of 2025, 60 deaths were linked to private bus accidents, while 30 fatalities were attributed to state-run SLTB buses. Police data also shows a staggering number of drunk drivers. Nearly 80,000 were apprehended within the first 4 months of this year. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has set a global target to reduce accident-related deaths by 50% by the year 2020, underscoring the urgency for Sri Lanka to strengthen its safety and prevention measures. Sticking to health, Sri Lanka is experiencing a sharp rise in cases of tinea, a contagious fungal skin infection, with health experts warning of its rapid spread and growing resistance to treatment. Consultant dermatologist Dr. Janaka Akaravita revealed that nearly 1 in 5 patients visiting dermatology clinics are now diagnosed with tinea. This marks a significant increase compared to a decade ago, when the condition was relatively rare and localized. Today, the infection is more aggressive, often spreading across large areas of the body and proving difficult to treat. Tinea, commonly known as ringworm, typically appears as ring-shaped rashes and causes intense itching. Children and individuals with poor hygiene practices are particularly vulnerable. Now, moving on, a 23-year-old Danish woman has been arrested at the Katmai International Airport for attempting to smuggle over 5 kilograms of Kush cannabis, a high-grade narcotic. The arrest was made during a special operation conducted by the Narcotics Control Division of Sri Lanka Customs. The suspect was apprehended while trying to leave the airport with the drugs concealed in her luggage. Authorities estimate the street value of the seized cannabis to be approximately 57 million Sri Lankan rupees. The woman had reportedly arrived in Sri Lanka from Bangkok, Thailand, via Chennai, India. Now, the Sri Lanka Navy also intercepted 3 dinghies for smuggling 1,349,640 prescription drugs during a search operation conducted in the Veliamundala Sea area in Kalpitiya on the 14th of July. Now, the videos and footage were released by Navy last night. The operation has also led to the apprehension of 5 suspects involved in the smuggling racket. The suspects held in this operation were identified as residents of Mohonturavam, Karakangane and Vannimundalama and Sinna Kudirippu in Kalpitiya and are aged from 22 to 44 years. The suspects, together with the prescription drugs and dinghies, were handed over to the Excise Special Unit in Putlam for onward legal action. Now, let's move on to the world of sports. It was heartbreak for Sri Lankan cricket fans. Bangladesh sealed a commanding 8-wicket victory over Sri Lanka in the 3rd and final T20 International, securing the series win in style. Sri Lanka captain Charit Asalanka won the toss and opted to bat first. The innings began with Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis opening the batting. Nissanka stood out with a composed knock of 46 runs, which included 4 boundaries. Mendis contributed 21 runs to the total. Despite the promising start, Sri Lanka's top order faltered, losing 6 wickets for just 88 runs. A late recovery came through a resilient 8-wicket partnership between Dasun Shanaka and Mahesh Tekshana, who added an unbeaten 29 runs. In the final over bowled by Shoiful Islam, Sri Lanka managed to score 22 runs thanks to Shanaka's aggressive batting, smashing 2 fours and 2 sixes. Sri Lanka concluded their innings at 132 for the loss of 7 in their allotted 20 overs. Chasing a target of 133, Bangladesh opened their innings with Pervez Hussain Emon and Tanzid Hassan. Sri Lanka struck early as Nuwan Tushara dismissed Emon before he could settle. However, Bangladesh captain Linton Das stabilized the innings and with a solid 32 contribution. The star of the chase was Tanzid Hassan, who remained unbeaten on 73 runs, showcasing his power hitting with 6 sixes and 4 boundaries. Bangladesh reached the target comfortably in 16.3 overs, losing only 2 wickets in the process. Let's move on to the international arena. Israel carried out a series of powerful strikes on the Syrian capital Damascus on Wednesday, escalating a campaign it says is in support of an Arab minority group involved in deadly clashes with Syrian government forces. At least 3 people were killed and 34 were injured in the attacks. Israel has stepped up its campaign despite pressure from the US, which has made moves to end Syria's international isolation. Syria has strongly condemned Israel for striking several government buildings in Damascus on Wednesday, calling the attacks on targets including its Ministry of Defense a dangerous escalation. Syria said it will reserve its full legitimate rights to defend its land and people by all means guaranteed by international law. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday said the Trump administration has engaged with all parties of the conflict to end the clashes in Syria. The Syrian government said on Wednesday night, local time, its army forces started withdrawing from Sueda. The Syrian government meanwhile announced a new ceasefire with the Druze, but it is unclear whether it will come into force amid splits among the group. At least 169 people have been killed and 200 others injured during several days of clashes. And with that, we wrap up this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. If you want to follow more of these stories, visit our award-winning website. That's www.newsfirst.lk. And also, do not forget to follow our social media handles on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, as well as on TikTok. And at the same time, I wish to remind you that we also have our own WhatsApp networks, and do subscribe to our WhatsApp channel to get all these stories on your palm-held devices. Until I meet you again tomorrow morning, take care and stay safe.